I recently was in a meeting, and in the meeting there was a girl who was very, like, she can, according to me, I can say she has a very difficult personality, and I was really struggling to you know to not feel offended during the meeting. And as I came back home, I remember talking to God and asking God, what could be the problem? And I remember God telling me that the major issue she's struggling with is self promotion. And I remember, even as I was journaling, I thought God was going to help me talk about her, but God returned it and said, the reason why she is self-promoting is because she's been wounded in the past, and the wound that caused the self-promotion in her is the wound of rejection. And God told me that, even you suffer from the wound of rejection, and you operate opposite from her. Her, she self promotes, and me, I hide. So I try to hide myself and protect myself so that no one would hurt me. And even as I was journaling, trying to figure out what God says, what His word said, I think I came up with something that I'd love to talk about today, and that is self promotion. Maybe in future we'll talk about the wound of hiding. Yeah. So self promotion is the attempt to increase your perceived value in the eyes of people in order to gain acceptance, validation, or worth. And the core is rejection. So you've been rejected by people, and because you want these people to accept you, you self-promote so that they can see, how your worth is. You want them to see your worth. And how does it show up? I mean, rejection, how does it show up? So a person who's suffering from the wound of rejection often presents with two things. Like for me, it's hiding. Hiding is when rejection was too painful. So now you have to protect yourself. You reject people and you reject opportunities first before they have a chance to reject you. So you keep yourself too small and out of sight. You don't really speak up in places. You don't really want to associate with very different people because, they might reject you and you want to get hurt, like you don't want to get hurt. But the Bible calls us to let our light shine before men so that everyone can see the glory of God. God did not create us for ourselves. He created us so that we're able to serve other people. He created us so that we can be there for other people. He created us so that we can, shine His light to other people. But, when you're hiding, you don't do that. You do what the Bible says. You're hiding your lamp under the table, and you stop being of service to other people, and you stop bring glory to God. And now what we'll focus on today is self-promotion. Self-promotion is you telling yourself, if only they can have a glimpse of how good I am, they will accept me, they will love me, because you have a perceived value of how God created you to be, and you want other people to see that. So maybe you do this by you speak too much, you overdo things, you become extra flamboyant so that other people can see you. And maybe a question that I was trying to figure out is, why do we crave this validation? So that causes us to self-promote. And the reason why we crave this validation is because God wired everyone with a need to be loved, with a need to be accepted, and with a need to be appreciated. But those needs were never meant to be met by people. They were meant to be met by God. We were designed to be affirmed by God. But now you see, sin came, separated us from God. And because of that, we are incapable of hearing His voice. We are cut off from the true source of life and the true source of validation. So we start seeking this validation out elsewhere. And the problem is trying to get validation and acceptance from people is, how can I put it? Is like trying to drink water, but your thirst is not quenched. Have you ever been so thirsty and the first thing you reach out for is ice cream? Ice cream cannot quench that thirst. You'll find yourself eating a big bowl of ice cream. It's until you drink water. That is when you get, the thirst is quenched. And this is what Paul wrote. Paul said, am I trying to win the approval of human beings or God? Am I trying to please people? If I was still trying to please people, then you won't be a servant of God. Okay? So what does self-promotion really look like? There are standards that the world has set, and these standards are based on, beauty, wealth, eloquence, title, and status. And people who have these standards that the world have set are the people who are accepted by the society. And so because of that, we find ourselves chasing after these things just to satisfy that craving for validation. If only I was beautiful, more beautiful than so. If only I was pretty enough. If only I was wealthy enough. If only I was eloquent enough. If only I had this title and status. And so we start chasing after these things because you're craving for validation. And this is what it's called, identity compensation. It shows up as, I must show you how I'm valuable so that you can accept me. And it often leads to you over-representing yourself. So you can do this by exaggerating your own strengths, speaking in a way that is aimed to impress other people, performing for attention, elevating your appearance, status, or achievements beyond what is authentic, and managing perception so that you can secure acceptance. Other times, people who are self-promoting will put themselves down in something called competitive self-exaltation, with the hope that people will see how much better you are than this other person. And so they'll accept you. So you find that you're comparing yourself with other people. This is something that I do, we put yourself down. You put other people down, directly or maybe subtly. Maybe you try to appear above others in order to feel worthy. It can show up as, I'm smarter than that, so I'm trying to outsmart other people so that they can see how worthy I am. But still, after this, you'll end up feeling empty, because remember, this is water that doesn't quench your thirst. So an important balance here is, the Bible is not against visibility. It's not against sharing your gifts. The Bible doesn't tell you to hide, The Bible is just against insecurity-driven visibility, like you doing something because you want other people to see you, on maybe pride-driven visibility, and approval addiction. So you're maybe doing things so that other people can approve you. And this is a difference. It's not shining your lights. It's performing for applause. Maybe you can ask yourself, when I'm doing something, am I doing it so that people can applaud me, or am I doing it because I'm trying to shine the light of Christ, to show out the gift that God has put in me, so that other people can glorify God by this gift that I have. So if you find that probably you have an issue with self-promoting, what's the way out? What do you do? And one thing that has helped me is trying to hear God's voice and going to Him every day, every morning, and practicing something that's called listening prayers. In this place, once you speak to God, you get correction, you get validation, you get love and acceptance, something that you've been searching for. And this is the real water that's going to quench the thirst in your soul. So I learned about listening prayer from someone called Virkler. I'll share the link to their ministry in the description, and Winship. So if you want to learn more about listening prayer and how you can do it yourself, you can go there. So these are prayers where you pray for answers, and then you wait for God to respond, and then you write down the impressions in your spirit, because God's voice comes as an impression. It doesn't come, you don't hear the voice, but it comes as an impression, and you obey that, and you write. And you write and you write, and eventually when you come back and read, you're like, this wisdom is not, from me, it's extra wisdom. And Jesus himself modeled this. He said he only received glory from God and not for people. This in the book of John chapter 5 verse 41. He only did what he saw his father do, and what he heard his father say. And he says that I'm not seeking to please other people. I'm only seeking to please God above all. So when you're no longer driven by the need to be accepted, when God is able to heal your heart, from the need of acceptance, from the wound of rejection, something shifts within you. So you start doing things because you love doing the things. You start doing things out of service for other people, not self. You start, serving people without needing them to, accept you or love you back. And you stop competing. You walk in your lane, you walk in your purpose, and you walk in your true identity. And this is what happens. When you walk in your true identity, it gets rid of, the scarcity mentality that you have. I must be like this and this person because this and this person is successful. No, you truly become who you are. And this is something no one else can be. You stop competing with other people. You start seeing how beautiful other people's talents are, and you start appreciating the talent within and trying to get out that talent for the world to appreciate. So you start operating uniquely, and you start to thrive because you're operating from your true identity, and you thrive, and you begin to genuinely appreciate the uniqueness in other people. Okay, so in closing, self-promotion is a wound that stems from rejection, and this is what you do. I'll give you an exercise to try and invite God. Go to a quiet place, put on some soaking instrumental worship music, invite God into the conversation and ask him, Lord, when was I wounded? When was I rejected? Yeah, when you do this, God can remind you of when you're a small child and you faced rejection, or maybe when you're applying for a job, or maybe you're trying to do something and you're rejected. And then write down the impressions that come to your heart. Then ask Him, show me how I can heal from it. And you wait for Him to show you. Maybe He'll show you through a verse, through pictures, through words, or through a song, or impressions that come from your heart. And God is going to answer. And the answer is going to change everything, because it's going to change you. And it's an answer that is unique to you, because, God is powerful. And the only way you can heal is by rewriting the wrong chords in your subconscious and replacing it with the truth in God.